In this clip I'm going to show you how to lay out your fabric in preparation for putting a pattern down onto your fabric. So before you lay out your fabric, you need to understand a few different parts of the fabric. So when you look at fabric, there's always a right side, which is the side that you would wear on the outside, and there's the wrong side. And the wrong side is the inside of garments. So every fabric has a right and wrong side. Some fabrics, like this one here, it's very hard to tell the right and wrong side. So if this is the case, you don't have to pay as much attention to the right and wrong side. But if you're working with a fabric that has a distinct right and wrong side, you should pay attention to it when you're laying out the fabric. The other thing that you want to look for on fabric is the selvage edge. And the selvage edge is the self-finished edge. So when they make fabric in the factory, they sometimes, like in the case of this one, put the color codes on the selvage edge and writing on the selvage edge. So on this particular piece of fabric, the selvage edge is very obvious. There's always two selvage edges. So the selvage edge, if I open up this piece, the selvage edges are always perpendicular. So if I've determined that this is one selvage edge, the selvage edges are always parallel. So I have my little drawing here just so you can understand. Parallel is like basically two railroad tracks. Perpendicular is a T. So your selvage edge your selvage edges are always parallel to each other. So here's the selvage edge, and this is my other selvage edge over here. Now this particular selvage edge doesn't actually have the white strip or the writing on it, but I can tell that this is the selvage edge because it has tiny little holes in the fabric, and it has a little bit of a fringe here. Okay, now this fringe is important. When I pull at it, it's not actually going to fray. The fabric will hold together because the selvage edge is a finished edge. So the other edge, those are two edges that you need to pay close attention to, are the cut edge. So there's always two cut edges, and the cut edge runs perpendicular to the selvage edge. So here's my cut edge, and here's my cut edge. You can determine cut edges because if you grab the edge of the fabric, it will start to fray. Okay, especially if it's a woven fabric like this one. And any edge that frays is always a cut edge. The selvage edge will never fray, even though it has the little sort of fringe along the edge. So on any fabric, again, to identify the selvage, look for the tiny holes or the little bit of the frayed or fringed edge, and then the cut edge is the one that will fray. So you can see on this one I can start grabbing away and pulling it back. And same thing on this one. This one here, again, if you look closely, there's the fringe of the selvage edge. There's no writing, but this edge will not actually fray or come apart. This edge, however, the cut edge, I can start grabbing threads and I can start unraveling it. So when you lay out your fabric, you're going to match your selvage edges together. So this is the selvage on this piece, and this is the selvage. You're going to match them together. I like to hold up my fabric and just give it a shake, and you're matching those selvage edges together. Then you're placing the fabric onto the table, and you can smooth it with your hands to make sure it's nice and flat. And if you look here, this is really, really important. The selvage edge should run parallel to the folded edge of the fabric. So here, this is the fold, and the selvage then should run perpendicular to the cut edge. Okay? And notice here that the cut edges, if I flip this over, maybe you can see a little bit better. The cut edges do not have to line up when you lay out your fabric. In fact, most often they don't line up. So it's only the two selvage edges that are lining up, and the selvage must be parallel to the folded edge before you place your pattern down.